I went and had a rummage around today. One of my many list of things to do. I said I might have been able to find an engine for my old go-kart, my buggy thing. Well, I've got this. I don't know where I got it from or where I found it. It was in like a shed thing that I had when I used to live at home with my mum and dad. So I don't know where I got this from. It's very obviously a cheap and Chinese 4-stroke engine, probably about 200cc maybe. I'd obviously drained all the oil out of it because we don't have any oil left in there, luckily, because this was rolling around in the back of here as I was driving around. I like to go on a mission today. We're missing the old timing chain cover, and it looks like, well, at some point I've tried to take the head off by the looks of things. We've got spiders, webs and cobwebs, but I think most of it's missing. Got 2 valves. There's quite a lot of rust in there. I'm not going to, you know, I haven't even got the nuts to go on these head studs, so I don't quite know what's going on. The cam's rusty as hell. I'd have to try and seat that again. I'm never going to get that seated properly without all the proper nuts and bolts, and all the rockers are all not set right. So this probably isn't going to be any good as an actual engine for me buggy, but I'm going to use it as like a sort of, I'm going to strip it down and maybe sell the parts, but I better do some pretty good examinations with it. I might better try and find out what it is and where it come from. It's got a little clutch on it, you know, it was probably a 3-speed or 4-speed, but I really can't remember where it came from or what bike it came from. I wouldn't have just got an engine back then. I wasn't really going around buying engines off of people. It would have come off of a bike that I'd had for some reason at some point. I don't know, no idea. But I've got another engine over here along with a little box of bits that I'm quite excited about, actually. Covered it up to stop it. It's full of sawdust. It's got a lot of sawdust in it. Well, I found loads of Brasso, WD-40, all kinds of stuff. I've got copper slip, which I was looking for. We got well, some U-brackets. We've got here flywheel of some kind of lawnmower. This was the disc brake protector of my CRF 450 that I sold a few years back. Obviously didn't sell that with it because it was in the wrong place. The GT seat, that might come in handy. I can put that on my bike because the seat that I've got on my bike is utterly painful to be sitting on. This might be slightly better. GT, that might be better. And there's just a load of mufflers. Oh, bloody hell. Why have I got a bit of chain? It's a gold chain. I wonder what that went on. There's an exhaust off a TTR 125. A full exhaust off a TTR 125. Comes all the way back to here, because I had a TTR 125 back in maybe the year 2000 maybe. It must have been around the year 2000 I had a TTR 125, and I took this standard exhaust off and put a FMF on it. And obviously the standard one was sitting in my little shed back there. There's God knows what is in this box. My dad just piled everything in and just said, take everything that you left in here. So I got sort through loads of more junk that I just got rid of. But that air horn might come in handy. Look, it comes with a compressor and everything. That'll come in bloody handy. I'm sure I could wire that up to something. That little red pipe goes on there. I might try and wire that up later actually. We've got a little connector. Ah, look, there's the negative, positive, and that'll make a nice sound. Sweet. Well, that's something what's come in handy. Anyway, I'm pretty pleased with that. We've got endless grease guns. Grease gun after grease gun. Look, grease gun, grease gun. We've got a brush, very, very sticky brush for some reason. Anyway, so this little engine, I covered it up because I didn't want it moving and scratching or denting my door. But we've got a lot of sawdust, it looks like, in the spark plug hole. God knows where the... That's a pipe. God knows where the HT lead is. Has gone. Hopefully it's tangled up somewhere in there. But I'm going to take this back in the garage now. We'll put it on the bench and we'll have a closer look at it, because this apparently ran about 15 years ago. It's got a nice little centrifugal clutch on it, but it seems to be seized up now. So if I can get this going, it might be a potential engine to go on the buggy as a temporary one. It'd be a bit underpowered, but it'd be interesting to do anyway. So we're going to have a look. Well, here we go. This is, well, I'm quite excited about this actually. I like old engines. Let's have a look to see what we've got. What have we got here? Suffolk Iron Foundry, 1920, Stowmarket. Let's see, what can we read? It's a bit of a funny lighting situation here. Right, engine type 75 G14, that looks like. Model something. Recommended lubricants. There's all the recommended lubricants and things. Let's see if we can clean that up a little bit more so I can see what. This is probably well old. Like well old. No idea what that's supposed to say. Might better get some stuff on it and give it a clean up, but it's been in my old shed. Well, it's been in there in the old shed for about 15 years. It was in my dad's shed for many years before that, and God knows what it came off of. Something that needed a little centrifugal clutch by the looks of things. I found the old HD lead. Just need a spark plug on there. I wonder if we got any oil. Let's try and clean some of this. It's full of spiders and cobwebs and sawdust and all kinds of stuff. Shouldn't get too much of it in there if I just pulled a little dipstick out. It's got a little bit of oil in there. It's probably very gloopy by now. I would have thought it's going to need an oil change if I was trying to start it up, probably. I've got an old style carburetor on there. Throttle cable. Throttle's a bit jammed. Actually, it's not too bad. It's jammed open though. Looks like we've got a lot of sawdust in the old hole there. Let's try and get that out. But it does appear to be seized. So I might have to try and drop a few drops of oil down in the old hole there to try and unseize it. If not, it'll have to be head off time, I think. There's a few things what can happen. I mean, you know, a lot of people panic too much and they're like, oh no, because it's sat for too long it's gonna be seized up. Not necessarily, but it can happen. Unless it's just sat, it's probably got moisture's gone in there. I don't know why I went and took the spark plug out at some point. I must have taken the spark plug out. Back then I wasn't really that much into old stuff. You know, anything old I just discarded and didn't really like back then when I was a kid. Or even a teenager. Whereas now anything old is like gold dust to me. If it's old, I'll have it if it's old. I'm interested in it. And this is old, so that's why I'm interested in it. If this was a new engine, like that Chinese one I just showed you, I'm not really interested in that because it's a new Chinese engine. I don't really care about that. But this is nice and old. And the air filter's probably properly crumbled up. I've got the choke here. That works. That choke works. That's a bit loose. Wonder if, oh look, the screws are loose, that's why. I'd obviously undone the screws at some point. Either that or they were already undone. I think my dad said he got one of his friends to try and get it running at one point. This is obviously the rather blocked up fuel tube that would come from the fuel tank that would be mounted up somewhere. It's probably come off a lawnmower, I would have thought. So it's would have had a little fuel tank probably up there somewhere, you know, on the handlebars of the lawnmower, something like that. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get as much of that sawdust out as I can, without, well, there's probably loads of it already gone in the hole, to tell you the truth, but without any more of it going in. I'm going to drop some oil down in the old hole and see if we can leave it to unseize itself. Maybe it will. Hopefully it will. Right, I've cleaned the hole out the best I can. I know a lot of you are probably just going, for God's sake, stop fanning about and take off the cowl in there, the cover, and just clean the whole engine. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll do that after. But I've cleaned out as much of that as possible. There's obviously loads gone in there, it's obvious there has, but I'm wondering, because I'm going to have to take the head off anyway and clean it all out, I would have thought anyway, so dropping a bit of oil in there ain't going to make any difference whatsoever. So let's drop a load of that in there. I just want to know if it's going to turn over nicely. Hopefully it will. So I'm filling that little combustion chamber up with oil. Now my plan is, that's going to then, if over time, I'll probably leave it overnight, that will go around the cylinder, go around the rings, and any rust that might be in there, or anything that's jamming that up, it should unjam it, and then I'll know if it's going to want to turn. If it's going to want to turn nicely, I'll take it all apart and see what else we got in there. Well, that's what we got now. I've taken the old sort of covering off. It's not that bad. There's quite a lot of cobwebs down in there. Quite a lot of cobwebs. No actual spiders run out. We've got a little nutshell there. Maybe there's a squirrel living inside it. Maybe the squirrel's jammed it up. I don't know. You know, obviously needs to clean up. Got a little bit of writing on there. It's not that bad in there. Definitely jammed up though. Why it's gone and jammed up, I don't know. I'm guessing it's going to be something to do with just moisture's gone in that plug hole there and rusted it together. Unfortunately, I bet if I was to take this off now, there would be a lot of rust in there. But I'm not going to take it off yet. I'm going to leave the oil to sink in there with it all enclosed, and then I'll take it off another time to see what's going on in it, to see what happens. So I'm going to take a look in these boxes. I've got a bag of batteries, I've got a box of bits and bobs, I've got another box of bits and bobs here. What's this all about, look? I don't know. What is in there? Oh, looks like we've got a crossover in there, it's all mouldy. Look, what's this all about? It's a crossover. Tweeter level. Fusion. This is when I used to, well, I never really cared enough to do it properly because I've always been quite lazy and just inconsiderate, but I tried to put a sound system in my first car and bothered it up as always, and never put these in because I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered to put a lot of stuff in. All I did was put a sub in and a few 6x9s and a head unit, and then I got bored, very very bored. Looks like we've got a lot of mice that have been in here. That have been in this one. I've got a lot of wire here, a lot of speaker wire. That'll come in bloody handy, wouldn't it? Look at that. Look at that speaker wire. That will come in handy. A mouldy old box. I'll burn that later. What have we got in here? Probably another tweeter. It's probably another tweeter in there, I would have thought. Is it? Yep, another tweeter. What am I talking about? Another crossover, sorry. Another crossover. I've got a very cobwebbed up Brasso metal polish So I've got another one of them somewhere. So I've now got 2 tins of polish. I've got a couple of tins of WD-40 that they'll always come in handy, but I used to just use it willy-nilly, so they're probably quite empty. Some bits of paper. They're probably stickers. That's probably a sticker sheet. Yeah, a sticker sheet. Not quite sure what else we got in here. A load of mice and other bits and bobs. Mice have been nibbling. Oh look, they've not even been unwrapped, that speaker wire. That will come in bloody handy. That speaker wire, it's brand new. Look, it's never been unwrapped. That'll be bloody excellent. That will. I'll keep that. I'm gonna have a big fire tonight and burn all the stuff that I don't need or I don't want. I'll probably try and sell them crossovers. Load more speaker wire. Look. Oh, excellent. Absolutely excellent. That's alright then, isn't it? Don't know what else I got in them boxes. It's going to take me about 6 million years to go for anything what's in there.